The news is saying everyone was trampled, but there's evidence that it wasn't only that.
Because the concert was a ritual and he actually advertised it as such.
He basically tells the kids, if you want to keep going in spite of the death that's happening everywhere, put your middle finger to the sky. Travis Scott's birthday, April 30th, the date that the Church of Satan was formed.
So let's talk about what happened there. There were 10 people trampled. Travis Scott was doing music. He was told to stop. He didn't stop. He continued on. And you had victim after victim. Why do you think this happened? What do you think was going on?
Well, I love that in your intro. It's a very great intro about what we're facing in the world right now and as it pertains to Satanism as well. So thank you for that. But
Welcome.
What I find very interesting about this particular event and why I think I was led to talk about it is because we have seen many mass rituals that had to do with these cults, that had to do with these, they're trying to amass power for the dark side. You're right. But this was the first time that we're seeing blood on the stage. And I want to say, the news is saying everyone was trampled, but there's evidence that it wasn't only that.
Wait a minute, hold it. You're saying there's evidence that it wasn't only people trampled? What else was happening to people?
Well, anytime you see a big event like this, you want to look at the early reports of what is disclosed. And the early reports, Houston police admitted, and I have a video of that. I'll be sharing it on my video that I'm releasing on this tomorrow. The police officers admitted that there were, at least in the early stages, 11 heart attacks going on.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the thing, is that people don't think much of it. Oh, well, yeah, it was very stressful and these people are having heart attacks. No, there have been other mass events where people were, squished in because of too many people coming in at one time. They didn't die of heart attacks. There's this asphyxia. It's a specific thing that happens. Let's just take a look at the marketing materials of the show itself, right?
Okay.
So I believe you have a picture of one of the posters that was talking about this event. So basically, it was a picture of a lot of eyeballs. And I mean, most people know the one eye, eye of providence, symbology that you see on the top of the dollar bill and all this kind of thing.
Right.
So that was all over the marketing materials. And, I've always just associated it with these types of things, but never really looked too deeply into it. But in fact, the one eye symbolism actually is going back to very ancient times of Egypt. In the version of the myth, it talks about Horus, who gouged out his own eye as a sacrifice in hopes of bringing his father, Osiris, back to life. Now, Osiris was synonymous with evil and disorder. So we're talking about a sacrifice to evil and disorder. And so there's one thing. If you guys have that poster, I believe it has the two hands on there as well. And so you see, I'm just looking through the things as they pop up and see if I can see them. But so the sacrifice to Osiris to remain king, there it is right there. So if we can zoom in on that one. This was one of the posters that was promoting the show. And so take a look at these eyeballs here, which is pretty random if you think about it, until you know that it has to do with the sacrifice to the underworld. But take a look at those hands. You see the hands there with the eyeballs in the middle? Now, How odd is that? This was the opening, by the way, which is like a fallen angel on fire, or the phoenix. Okay. Now look, this is as the stage opened. Look at the eyeball behind Travis Scott there. This is the first thing that the viewers see. This huge, eerie eyeball in basically a pit of hell. I mean, does that not look like the caves of hell? And the sacrifice of the eyeball that we know now is related to pagan mythology says it all. So there again is another scene where you see them all over the caves with these eyes looking everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. This was, an Egyptian myth that they're reliving, and they're giving homage to their god of the underworld. But here's the crazy part about the hands with the eyeball in the middle that you saw there briefly. Now, remember, this is a promotional poster going out to kids to watch this thing. Okay.
Right.
So There is an actual movie called Pan's Labyrinth. And within that movie, there was a character called Pale Man. Now, Pale Man was there it is right there. So are you guys able to see that? This is the character from the movie Pan's Labyrinth. Okay. That is the image of the hands with the eyeball in the middle. That monster right there basically survived by eating children.
Okay. Excuse me, Dana, you said survives by eating children?
The character Pale Man within that movie, if you want to pause it really quick, the character Pale Man within that movie was a monster that ate children. And here we have the marketing material of the concert with that very thing right on the front. Now, as a marketing and branding person myself, I just can't look at an object like that and think of any good reason to do it that's not weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And parents, you would think, Dana, I mean, there was kids as young as, 9 years old, the little girl who died, 9 years old, but I'm sure kids younger, parents, they don't have a clue on this, do they? It's almost like they're under some kind of spell. Ooh, did I say spell?
It is sorcery.
I said spell, didn't I?
Yeah, so we're talking about the marketing material for the Travis Scott concert in plain sight, as Satan loves to do. It's a form of disclosure, isn't it? Because then he can say, I told you so, and we did it anyway, right? So the marketing material contained the hands with the eyeballs in the middle. Now you're seeing on the screen now the character that this was based from. Pan's Labyrinth had a character called Pale Man. He basically, his superpower was eating children. So there you have the sacrifice. Now the producers of the movie admit that this character was actually based on a painting called Saturn Devouring His Son, which you see here. Now Saturn is the ancient god with a lowercase g that these people are actually worshiping. So this is what it really boils down to. So it's all about Saturnian pagan worship where they are sacrificing to their god to get the power that they want. So here's the painting of Saturn devouring his son. You often see the god of Saturn with the scythe if he's not having a child that he's eating in the moment. And so, yeah, it's just, it's in front of people's face.
Okay,
but they don't know. So
yeah,
they don't,
so Dana, let me just kind of summarize this a little bit. So this concert, rapper Travis Scott in Houston, Texas, what you're saying is his promoters or him or whoever's behind it, they told everyone what this was really going to be by the promotional materials. It was almost in your face. It was these signs and symbols of these posters you're showing us, but yet people did not understand it, or they didn't pay attention, or they don't care. And so therefore he was able to carry out this satanic form, this ritual, because the concert was a ritual and he actually advertised it as such. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's the thing. And this has gone on for a long time, but I think what makes this one different is that, in fact,
they told everyone what this was really going to be by the promotional materials. It was almost in your face. It was these signs and symbols of these posters you're showing us, but yet people did not understand it, or they didn't pay attention, or they don't care.
The sacrifice happened while we were watching, and it's just sick. But the thing is that, David, there's so many more besides that. I showed you one example. This thing just goes on and on. If maybe we can find the image that Travis Scott himself wore on his shirt. He basically wore a shirt, if you can zoom into that. Basically what you see there is a human form, and the blue man on the left side is going through a plane of existence. And I say that because there are other hints to the same thing, but look just on the right of that plane, you see that it turned red and it now has horns. So while these kids are in this audience, unable to breathe for more reasons than just trampling on, which we can get into later, like I said, but while they're there, unable to breathe, furthermore, there was an actual scene of hell. The stage was like red, burning fire, hell. And there was an actual portal inside of it. So in the bottom of the portal, before the show started, can you only imagine what it said? And I think you have an image of that in there somewhere. But basically, it says in plain sight, see ya on the other side. This is what, yes, they're giving you every warning right there.
Wow.
So he sees an ambulance in the audience. He basically stops the show for a minute and said, what's going on here? Then some other kids come up on stage and try to tell him, wait, people are dying down there, basically. And what does he do? He basically tells the kids, if you want to keep going in spite of the death that's happening everywhere, put your middle finger to the sky and we will carry on. And that is precisely what he did. And then he says, I'm going to make the ground shake, and the portal starts spinning again. And I tell you, I broke down crying because it was so spiritually wicked. I couldn't believe it.
They're putting in our face what are some of these signs and symbols?
So we were just talking about the fact that he's wearing a shirt that openly admits that the people watching are going to go from one plane to the next. We're talking about that they're showing before the kids go into the show, see you on the other side. Well, what other side are they talking about if they're not talking about the spiritual side? And that's the thing. He's a liar. And he sells us things that are beautiful and exciting. And what's crazy is that really nothing has changed since ancient times. We think, oh my gosh, I would never bend down and, bow down and worship something. But how many young people know that the word worship merely means to revere greatly? I mean, how many of these kids are revering greatly? More than God, for sure, but maybe even more than their parents, more than their own lives, obviously. So the worship is going on. And there was nothing that upset our Father more than to have things put before him. And we've become so desensitized to it. And speaking of signs, and you just said, turn it upside down. So there were so many of these, David. They were literally riddled all over the place. The stage itself, I'm not sure if you probably don't have a picture of this, but there was an actual upside down cross that leaked into that stage that was the vortex into hell, where it said, see you on the other side. There was the fact that the date of the show just happened to be 666 months and 6 days from the formation of the Church of Satan itself. Travis Scott's birthday was also the same date, April 30th, the date that the Church of Satan was formed. Some of these things can't be planned because Satan's a long-term planner too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there were just so many of these. For those people who still aren't convinced that, yes, this was a satanic ritual, let's take a look at a few more of the disclosures that they made. Okay. There is, along the lines of you remember I was telling you about the worship of Saturn, right? And the Saturn death cult. So during the time of the Greeks, it was Saturn, and then it became Kronos with the Romans. And then in our Bible, we hear people talking about Molech and Baal. And the imagery that you see from Molech is often this fiery metal temple with the fire inside, and they put their babies on the grate, right? Or a very large open mouth image of them walking through the mouths. I think you can see here an image of this was a scene actually from a movie that they made talking about Molech in the early 1900s. So what's really eerie is the gates of the Astroworld itself featured Travis Scott. The same thing. You have people walking through this open mouth. I mean, what on earth?
Yeah.
And this child right here was the one who died. This 9-year-old boy right here. And people think, well, this is for adults or young adults. No. In fact, this Travis Scott, and I forwarded you some pictures of McDonald's Happy Meals with Travis Scott merchandise all over them. They have, and I think that they're probably disappointed that more children didn't die, if you want to know the truth of what I think of the matter. But Fortnite, very popular game, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys. Travis Scott totally promoting that, right? So they've done their best to get the babies, the young, the super young and innocent, roped into this demonic ritual. And this poor kid right here, God bless his family. His name was Ezra, and he succumbed to last night. It's just unbelievable. 9 years old, a baby.
Yeah, and you know what, Dana, we're praying for the families of each and every victim. Let's make that the number one priority of this show and of this time together as we go into
Amen.
this prayer time soon, is that we're praying for the families of the victims, the friends, the ones that are hurting right now. We're praying for their comfort, but we're also praying for an enlightenment so someone can hear and see something and see what is going on. If they don't even believe it, at least it's enough to investigate it and check it out. Hey everybody, David here. Now, if you're enjoying the show, would you please consider becoming a monthly partner? Help me bring God's word to a dying world. You know, they need to hear the truth. And your donation will help do that. Please text the word chosen to 91999. Go to davidheavener.tv/give or call 844-806-0006. God bless you.
David Heavener Investigates is proud to bring you End Times Investigations, a new DVD series containing over 8 hours of interviews, commentaries, and teaching on Illuminati and the New World Order, Satanism, miracles and healings, the Antichrist, and one world religion.
Hi, I'm David Heavener, and I'm proud to bring you this brand new DVD collection, End Times Investigations.
David reveals how the media is working hand in hand with the Antichrist system. Order now and receive this special DVD collection. Text bonus to 41444 or davidheavener.tv/order. Call toll free 844-806-0006.